Welcome, everyone. My name is Cindy Teevens, author of Alchemy, How to Feel Good No Matter What, and The Happiness Lie, What Generations Have Been Told That Makes You Unhappy. You're watching Dear Self Live, and today's topic is mind reads, the relationship destroyer. Actually, it's a destroyer of a lot more. It can also be actually a creator too. So first we'll talk about the destructive side, because that's the way it typically functions and interferes with all kinds of relationships, not just intimate ones. Could be relationships with your boss or your mother or your father or your sibling or your friend even. So have you ever felt misunderstood? I would hazard a guess that practically everybody has at some time felt misunderstood. Have you ever felt like someone said something about you that didn't in any way whatsoever belong? It was sort of like they took mud and threw it on you and you just wanted to wipe it off. Well, then you have been on the receiving end of a mind read. What is a mind read? So mind read is claiming to know what somebody else is thinking or feeling. So their state, purpose, or intention for what they did or said. People are not even aware that they do this and to what degree that they do this. And there's a number of reasons for that. I'd like to welcome our guests today. Before we get into all of those reasons, we have one person live, and it looks like we have a couple people watching on the side. Less than last week, and it could be that everybody is out shopping before Christmas. Of course, that would be a mind read. Not a very damaging mind read, but a mind read nonetheless. I don't know why there were more people here last week than there are now. Who knows? Many reasons. Many, many reasons. And to think that we know creates problems for ourselves and others. When I first learned about mind reads, I thought I'd play with them. So I went around for a whole week watching my mind reads. What does that mean? That means watching thoughts about other people. And I was horrified to find out that I was doing it constantly. Constantly. You know, I drove up and I parked on the street one day, and this man comes out and he's got this look on his face, and I labeled it an ugly look. And I don't know who he is. I don't know what just happened to him. I pulled in behind his car and he had this ugly look, and I thought, oh, he doesn't like me parking so close to his car. Of course, that's not what I thought, but the thought arose. And with no other information available to me, it's the only thing, the only bit of information in my vicinity that I have available to me. And so I believed this thought. And I felt bad. So I don't know, if he just got dismissed from work. I don't know if he was remembering a bad experience. I don't know the reason for the ugly look on his face. It was a big eye-opener. I was constantly mind reading, not just people I don't know, people I do know. Even people I imagined to be. But what really mortified me at the end of the week was to realize all of my mind reads were bad. All of my mind reads about other people were bad. They did this because that. This means that. They did it to me. I wanted to vomit, really. I hated what I was doing. And I started to wonder, geez, if I mind read negatively, why don't I mind read positively? So I said, okay, I'm going to play with this. So I went around for another week. And I was noticing whenever an automatic negative mind read arose, I replaced it. It's sort of like positive thinking in a way, not exactly. But I replaced it with something else that could be true, or just anything else. And I found that when I started doing this, I found endless possibilities. You know, he did that because he's testing me. Or she said that because actually she does care, and this is how she cares. And automatic negative mind read arose. I went around having a ball. Positive thinking in a way. And I noticed that everybody else was having a ball. But I replaced it with something else. There was a lot of energy being used. That was the next thing that I noticed. A lot of energy being used to do this mind reading business and to change the mind reads around. So then I just quit. Well, I didn't completely quit that day. I decided that I wasn't that interested in mind reads anymore. But somehow they kept coming. I remember the day I actually quit completely, when I was just done with not having mind reads, because this is what the brain does. It turns out ideas, options, possibilities. But I was certainly done believing them. You know, one day I went out for a walk in the park, and I came upon some dog doo-doo, and all these thoughts came up. Oh, people don't clean up after themselves. They're dogs. They shouldn't have dogs. Anyway, I kept walking, and I came upon another one. And I thought, wow, that's unbelievable. And all these thoughts were starting to really churn until I got to the third. And I was in a good froth. I was just ready and livid, believing the nastiest things about people. And then I thought, this is just a little bit strange for this park, because I come to this park often. And for a moment, I hesitated in believing. I just stopped. You know, I stopped believing all those thoughts. And then I looked up around the park. This is really strange. And as I looked up and across, I saw them everywhere. Dog piles of doo-doo everywhere, but perfectly spaced apart. And then I realized they're not dog doo-doos. They're lumps of soil from the land aeration machine. And I started laughing at my insanity, laughing at all the crazy things I believed that were completely and utterly untrue. Reality is always kinder than our thoughts about reality. So then I went out, and I ended up in a public washroom. And I went to the first washroom, and there was water, or fluid of some sort, all over the seat. So I went to the next one, looked in, same thing. I went to the next one. Would you believe I got to the very last stall? Every single stall had fluid on the seat. By the time I got to the end, I was livid. I was ripping up women. I said, women are so... I thought it's men who's disgusting. Anyway, I cleaned off a seat, and then I sat down, did my business, and I stood up, and whoosh! The water automatically flushed high up and all over the seat. And I burst out laughing again, realizing that all those seats had been flushed just like mine were, and it wasn't women who did it. You see, we sometimes just don't even mind read people, we mind read things too. And I laughed really hard in the bathroom, and I said, I am so done. I am so done. And so what did I do instead? Because mine still continued churning out its mind reads. So I would question the mind reads. I'd go, yes, what else could be true? And I would look and be creative. And I would come up with, well, it could be this, it could be that, it could be this, it could be that. And I'd get to the end and you go, you know what? I can't know. Really deep acceptance of the fact, of the truth, of the reality is, I can't know. I can't know what another person's state or purpose or intention is unless I ask them. And so I just started asking people if I needed to or wanted to know for some reason. And then I found that if I just ignored the mind read, I never had to ask. Rarely had to ask, you know. If they needed something, they would tell me, and I would deal with it. But pretty much I could ignore all that noise and all that effort, just go about my business. It was great. Because mind reads destroy relationships if acted upon and believed and spoken. Yeah, one of the funniest examples is, the man comes home from work and he asks his wife, "So what's for dinner, honey?" And she goes, "Chicken." And he goes, "Chicken again?" And you can see where this is going. And she flies off the handle with a mind read. "Well, if you don't like it, you can cook your own dinner." That's one scenario. Another scenario could be anything. She could ask, "Yeah, what do you mean?" It's an option. She could be curious instead of defensive or aggressive. And after she flies off the handle, he says to her, "Well, no, that wasn't it." He says, "It's just that we have chicken every Tuesday, and I was just shocked that it was already Tuesday." You see how mind reads can be completely damaging for no reason whatsoever, no true reason. And instead of mind reading your partner and then them mind reading your mind read and you mind read their mind read, and that's what happens when things blow up and everybody goes, "How did we get here? This is not what I wanted." How you got here was the insanity of mind reads. Do you try and undo it? It's very hard. You have to go back to the first mind read. You have to go back to what actually happened. What do you know for sure in your direct experience? You come home, you ask, "What's for dinner?" You're told chicken. You said chicken again. Then the trouble broke out. Because why? The person who said chicken again didn't communicate their purpose, their meaning, their state. So what we do when we're missing information is we try to fill it in. Why do we fill it in with bad stuff? Because we're afraid of the bad stuff. We're on the lookout for the bad stuff. We're defending ourselves. We're expecting it. And so we create it. We create what's not actually out there. So instead of filling it in, get curious. What do you mean by that? How do you feel about that? And you find out. Are they mad? Are they frustrated? Are they whatever? Wouldn't you rather much know what they're actually feeling so you can address it rather than guessing that they're feeling angry or something bad about you? At least you have the possibility that it's not about you. And the irony is that mind reads are about you and not about you. They come from you, right? That's where the thought is arising. They come from you, not from the person you're putting them on. But they're not about you because you don't have any control over them arising. But just because they arise doesn't mean you have to believe it. You can notice that thought is an option, as all thoughts are options, because thoughts are like the moon. They have no power source of their own. They have no light source of their own. They just pop up, they float for a minute, and then they dissipate unless you plug into them your power and you say, "Yes, this is true." And now all manner of other thoughts pile on top of that. You said that because of this, and you always do that because of this, and then. And if you go around taking a mind read and forming it into a belief about a person themselves, you carry with you now. It's a filter, we'll call it. It's worse than a filter. We'll call it a color screen. So all of your vision, your hearing, all of your senses are tainted by this belief. And you can never perceive anything different from that person. So there are no people outside of you. They all live in your head. And you've defined them all. And so it doesn't matter what they say or do, you perceive what you believe. And that's where the violence is. Claiming to know what someone else is thinking or doing is violence. It's arrogance. And you can never get to know the real person because all you know is your color that you've painted them with. So if you want true intimacy, then these have to be thrown away. I say the only belief worth caring about anybody is that they're absolutely unlimited. So if ever a mind read pops up, this is what you replace it with. He's doing this because he's angry. Wait a minute, no, he's completely unlimited. Right. Now I'll go find out how he actually is from him. So where do mind reads come from? The broken record in the brain. The thoughts that have been fed are the ones that grow strong. And they're the ones most readily available, particularly because you believe them. So how can you avoid somebody else mind reading you? Tell them your purpose or intention. This has got to be the most overlooked piece of critical information in human communication and relationships. I'm doing this because of that. So share your purpose or intention all the time, all the time, all the time. You cannot prevent somebody from mind reading you, but the more information you give them, the less the chance. They may have more information, so they do less guessing. If someone's in a bad state and they're mind reading you, and it doesn't matter what you say, they seem to be getting worse because they're in a bad state. And when you're in a bad state, bad thoughts come easily and effortlessly to you. And when you're in a good state, good thoughts come easily and effortlessly. So anything that's coming out of their mouth from a bad state has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with their bad state. So trying to communicate with someone in a bad state is impractical. I just wouldn't even bother. Let the bad state dissipate. And then come back and address what happened. And get very specific about what happened. Well, I did this. And I did this because, and share your reason. You have a hope of them dropping their mind read. And on a good day with your partner, you could actually discuss the phenomena called mind reads. And if you both become aware of them, that can be used in your relationship. Not abused. Some people abuse it. Because mind reads exist doesn't mean you can go about, claiming that your partner's mind reading you. Because that would be a mind read also. And it's an attack. So instead, ask them questions. So if someone says, you did that to hurt me, well, get specific. How do you know? Ask them, how do you know? And they'll give you their evidence, whatever that is, Well, you never do that, and you must have done it to hurt me. And then you can give them your purpose. Well, actually, my purpose in doing that was this. It really had nothing to do with you. And you might be able to clear it up from there. So more detail, more detail, more detail. And not taking their mind read and wearing it like mud. Just because someone has thrown it at you doesn't mean you have to put it on. You can see that they are actually suffering. And you can get curious about them. It's a very safe place to be. You make it about them, not about you. Because it is about them. They've got some issue going on, so let's help them fill in the blanks. And what to do with your own mind reads. Question, question, question. Abandon, abandon, abandon. You don't need a mind read. I had an example of I had a roommate, and I was bringing some items up the 3 floors to put them out in the veranda. And I wasn't quite ready yet. I wanted to do it all at once, open the door once, not let the bugs in. This was my purpose, of course, unspoken. But I collected these things on the chair beside the door. And I didn't get around to it right away, so they were there for a day. And then I was asked, did you put those there so nobody could sit there? And my mind read, my habitual mind read went, that's sarcasm. I don't know why I would think that's sarcasm, but that's the first mind read that popped up. And then I went, it doesn't really seem like sarcasm. I don't know. And I really couldn't understand this question whatsoever. I had no frame of reference. I would not ask this question myself, so it didn't exist in my model of the world. I had no understanding of it. And so all I did was answer it. No, I didn't put those there so nobody could sit there. Still thinking that's a strange question. And then I went about my business, remembering that I don't need to know. What do I need to know for? So another day went by or so, and then I thought, well, maybe I do need to know. This is, after all, my roommate. Is there something bothering her, or just maybe I should clear it up? Anyway, so I went back, and also out of curiosity. I became very curious about this question because I have no understanding where that comes from. And I said, so what was your purpose? This is how you can deal with somebody else's mind read. You can ask them, what was your purpose in saying that and asking that and doing that? And the answer came back, well, I wanted to know if you put that so nobody could sit there because, in case there was something wrong with the chair. I went, what? Oh, like so that you wouldn't sit on it and fall down. I could not have thought of that. I would not have done that. In my world, if there was something wrong with a chair, I would take the chair out of the room and repair it or something. But it all made sense. And suddenly, the villain that I thought was being sarcastic became a sweet, innocent victim of my mind read. Now, you have to trust that that's their truth. Some people will say, but what if they're not telling the truth? No. That is not a way to have a relationship with anybody. And once you begin using these techniques in your relationship, then you can develop a trust with each other because you can see you both have the intention of not believing your mind reads, your ugly mind reads about each other. You have the intention to be real. One time someone said something to me and I had the mind read it was sarcasm, which I have no use for. And so I said, what was your purpose for that? And she answered, after a long pause, yeah, I guess that was sarcasm. And I didn't have to say anything more. They answered it for themselves. It was done and it never happened again. And I don't just mean in that situation. I mean sarcasm never happened again with that person. And that person sort of prided themselves on their sarcastic humor. But it never happened with me again. And so when you ask people this question, if they did intend something, they suddenly are face to face with it. And when we face our own stuff, we know when we're out of line. And so you may not get an outer answer, but they will automatically answer it inside, and they know. And that can be enough to take care of it. Sometimes you'll get an outer answer as well. So ask, be curious, and accept the answer. And you will develop trust with each other as well. When you have this open honesty, this sharing. So I'm just going to open up and see if anybody has any questions on the topic today so far, and that could be either live or that could be on the chat box on the website, alchemylovejoy.com. So feel free, if anybody, let's go with the live, and yeah, if anybody likes to type anything in there, go ahead and I'll check the box in a moment. Anybody live want to come on?
Yeah, I'll come on, Cindy.
Welcome.
Hi. Hi, Andrew. Is that it? That's Andrew. Yeah. Oh, well, what I was thinking, I've been thinking about this mind reading business, and I was concerned too that I wouldn't be told the truth, only because up until recently I never told the truth to anybody about how I was feeling. In fact, my whole life I never did. People would come out and ask me, and I would totally lie, you know, because I wanted to present some image of myself as being, you know, together and okay, and when I really wasn't. So I would never answer honestly. Most of the time, well, I don't ever remember answering honestly. So I suppose now I'm projecting that onto other people, and I do see people with in states where they're fearful or angry, and yeah, I really enjoyed what you said, because sometimes if people are already in that state, they're not really in a state where they can answer honestly, and I'm usually not in a state where I can ask a question, because I'm filled with fear, and sometimes I will feel angry and stuff like that. So
yeah. Sometimes when you know you sense that emotions are high, it's a good thing to just take some downtime first for a little while. I would recommend also to watch out for the hazard of claiming to know that somebody else is angry. You can't know. They could be frustrated, and isn't it more important to know they're frustrated than angry? And the thing is, even with children, we have young infants, right? And we often think that they're, smiling and they've got this grin come on their face. They're really passing gas, you see. So don't assume. It's so automatic that sometimes we miss that we've assumed we know what someone is feeling or thinking.
Well, true, but well, I've got a couple of examples. Maybe I could talk to you about them.
Can you pick one?
I'll pick one. Okay. It's wonderful because I'm finding lately how amazing. Well, I'll just get onto the example. I won't rabbit on. I live with my sister and her daughter, and her daughter's a teenager, and I wasn't living here originally to look after her other daughter that has a disability, but the other daughter moved out, and I used to shower and everything in the other daughter's place and clean it, and it was lovely. And I said to my sister, look, when the other daughter goes, can I use your bathroom? Because really, her teenage daughter's bathroom is just disgusting. It's just, you've never seen anything like it. It's not just clothes everywhere and stuff everywhere, but dirty. I said, and she said, oh look, no, I want my own bathroom, but I will talk to her because it is a problem and it needs to be addressed. And this is great. This could be the change that she's been trying to get her to clean up for ages. So anyway, I thought, oh, okay, and when she first said no, I said, look, I might have to rethink my accommodation because I just don't think I could be bothered with that. So anyway, it was organised that it was all going to be cleaned and stuff, and it wasn't. And so we decided that, you know, the mother would check it every day, and that didn't sort of work out. And so anyway, I brought out some stuff, you know, and I said, here's this stuff, blah, blah, blah.
You did what?
I took out some of the rubbish, you know, some of the stuff, and I said to my sister, what do you want me to do with this? And she got, well, I wasn't really mind reading, because she very angrily said, just put it down there, just put it down there, you know. And anyway, later on, so my mind read was, she's very upset, you know, this is you know, this is a bit of a drama. But it wasn't really a mind read, because I mean, I can tell when people are angry. I can feel it.
Yeah, there rises the arrogance. I can tell. I know. Yeah.
But can't you tell from their facial expression, from their voice? And then
To assume you know, no. To assume you know anything about anybody is point blank arrogance and a violence. Okay? What is the point in assuming? Why don't you ask?
because, yeah, well, that would be a really good thing to do, but I wasn't in a state to ask, because I was then filled with angst and drama, and I straight
Yes, and
away
that's when we mind read. When we're in a bad state is when we mind read something bad, you see.
Well,
So,
it did turn out to be something bad, though, because she came up to me later on with the daughter and said, there's too much tension in this house, and we want a happy house, and the daughter was standing there, and I said, you know, well, I thought, you know, you wanted to change this situation. You know, I said, I can see you're upset, but I thought that we were supposed to be, you know, working on this. And she said, well, you know, now it's just getting petty, you bringing stuff out. And I said, and then the funny thing was, then it turned into a big drama.
that's what
And
happens with mind reads.
it turned into a big drama, yeah.
So you notice that when you feel bad, you have a bad mind read about somebody, they come hand in hand. You know, the idea that she's angry at you, okay,
Oh, yeah, well, see, that's the thing.
generates the
Yeah,
bad feeling that you are
yeah,
experiencing, and vice versa. They arise together. So if
yes.
you take care of yourself, you shift your state, as I've been showing you, shift your state, then you let go automatically of the mind reads, because you can't hold the mind read when you shift your state. Okay.
Well, I
And
did eventually shift my state,
pardon me?
and I did eventually shift my state,
Mm-hmm.
and I did go, instead of the me, you know, this is hurting me and blah, 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 I got to a state of concern and love for them, you know,
Very
and
good.
wanting, and it's all sort of resolved now.
Yeah. And you
But,
notice when you do that, the mind read falls away, right? And
well,
now there's space to actually communicate. But as long as you hold up the I know you're this and you're that, as long as you hold that up, it's going nowhere.
well, I can see that
I want to know, what's the purpose in believing you think you know what somebody else feels or thinks? What's the purpose in that?
okay. Well, that's a very good question. What's the purpose in that? Um, yeah. Um, well, when the purpose is love, it's a whole different ball game. It's wonderful.
No, I
When
want to know what the purpose is in claiming to know what somebody else thinks or feels.
what my purpose is in claiming to know,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what my purpose is, except that she was very angry. She said she was angry. She
Okay,
said
instead
she
of asserting it, okay,
well, she
if someone says they're angry, you know
yeah.
they're angry, right? And there's other things that came before the anger that are involved that you need to know about. You need to talk about, because there's reasons why they're angry. They have got mind reads. So she may have been holding a mind read on you that, you're just causing trouble. That's your purpose for what you're doing. You're just causing trouble. We want a nice, quiet, peaceful home, and you're causing trouble. That's her mind read. You need to try and help discover other people's mind reads with them so that they can be addressed.
That would be great. That would be really, really
But you
good. Yeah.
won't do that as long as you hold it true that I know what that person is thinking or feeling.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, gee, I really need help with this because I really 100% believe.
Are you seeing
I
the
don't
value
know
now?
what.
Are you seeing the value in stopping claiming to
I'm
know? And
seeing the value because what I've been doing has not brought me peace. So there's got to be another way to
there
look
you
at
go.
it. I
There you
do
go.
see the value, definitely.
Yeah.
Gee, if I could
Okay.
avoid all that, that would be very valuable.
You see, when I ask this question, what is your purpose for claiming to know? Can anybody answer that?
Um, what is my goal for claiming to know?
Purpose. Purpose in
My,
claiming to know.
my purpose. It's my purpose in claiming
What
to
what
know.
do you think's going to come of claiming to know what somebody else is thinking or feeling?
Oh, well then I can organise things so that I'll never be hurt again. Then I can.
Right. See, I was saying that we go on defense. We are on the lookout because we ought to protect ourselves and make sure that nobody hurts us. And so
Yeah.
we go out imagining that they're hurting us.
Yes, yes, that's
What sense
right.
does
That's
that
right.
make? You want to protect yourself, so you go out and assume people are hurting you.
Good God, that's so ridiculous, isn't it? When you look at it like that,
Yeah, it's
that is
what's
so ridiculous.
is so ridiculous. The
My
best
goodness.
the best way to protect yourself is to not believe a negative mind read and to just ask what's actually going on for people. And remember, their answer is about them. It's never about you. Don't be afraid to ask.
Yeah, well, I sort of knew it was. Well, I sort of knew it was about her. I didn't. I felt like it was
Yeah.
her
But now
stuff.
you make it all about you, in which case you never get to actually learn anything about her. And if you learned things about her, you could communicate and come to a resolution much easier, one that works. Okay?
Okay.
I think there's a
Well,
lot more behind this that you never found out about. So you would never understand. How could you? You don't know. And you never found it out because it wasn't shared, because people don't share everything. They don't even share their purpose. So you have to ask questions. This is where curiosity really comes in handy. Be really curious about, wow, what's going on for you? It's just an open-hearted curiosity. What's going on for you? It looks like you're upset or you're angry. When I work with people and I ask them, does that feel good or bad? This is a question I often use. Because I'll have a mind read that it feels bad. But sometimes I'm very surprised that what they said actually feels good for them. And then they tell me more about it, and then I understand it, and I go, oh, okay, now I get it. That makes sense.
yeah.
And
I
if
would
I
love.
went with my mind read, if I went with my mind read, we'd go in the completely wrong direction. I wouldn't be any good to them whatsoever.
No, no. And I would love to open up to be curious and ask questions.
Very good.
And I find that I am very. It's not really possible, like you were saying. It's not possible to do that when I'm in a state.
It's possible. It's possible. It's very
Yeah.
challenging. It's
Mm.
possible, and you can get better and better at shifting your state very quickly.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Okay.
you know, and when you start to discount your mind reads, when you start to stop believing them and become actually genuinely more curious about others, it gets way easier. You know, what
I'd like to be
happens?
curious, yeah, instead of being scared
Very true.
that I'm going to be attacked, that I'm going to be, someone's
Yeah,
going to hurt my feelings, someone's going to yell at me. That's
yeah,
sort of,
yeah. That
ooh,
doesn't do you any
like
good at
that.
all, does it?
No.
Yeah. Good stuff. Thanks for bringing that forward.
I thank you. Yeah.
Anybody else? Question, comment? I'm checking the chat board. You can always type something in there. So I think that pretty much covers mind reads for me. Uh, so if there's any other subject, we have some time left. So if there's any other subject anybody would like to raise, we can explore that. And if not, then we're all good to go for the day.
Can I just ask one more question?
You bet.
Oh, did I come at the wrong time? Because I thought this started at, yeah, I think I might have come late. Sorry, all the times are different in Australia, but I thought it was 6 a.m., 6 a.m. Australian time, which would make it 11, what time did this start?
What time do you have there?
6:41 a.m.
Yeah, we have 3:41 p.m.
Was it supposed to start at 3 p.m.?
Yes.
Oh, good, okay, yeah, sure. So I did come at the
So
right
see
time.
everybody, when I started this call, I said that, oh, gee, we don't have as many people here. Maybe it's because they're shopping. And I said, there's a mind read, harmless one. What was the real reason for some people? The timing was off. The time, they were off by time. Maybe there were different reasons for other people. I just love this. I love it when my mind reads are proven wrong again and again and again and again and again and again and again.
I did want to, I don't know if you can hear me. I put on my headset. You can hear me better now. Can you
Oh,
hear
that's
me?
better. Yeah, thank you, Alex.
I did want to talk about just some thoughts that were coming through my mind while you were talking about these mind reads. And some of the thoughts I had was that, you know, I think we all do the mind reads. I mean, as you were saying, even you do yourself. And so I think it's important, at least for me, to not get caught up with shoulds and shouldn'ts about mind reads. For me, it's more along the lines of just try to understand what they are and the weight they hold.
Yes,
You
yes.
know,
Just
don't.
knowing that they exist helps, right?
Right, right,
And recognizing, oh, I've got a mind read about that. You say instead of this is a new thing a new mantra you can use. You know, oh, I have a mind read about her. I have a mind read about this or that or him. And this moment you notice you have a mind read, then you can question it with yourself. You can question it with others.
right, right. Yeah, just as long as one realizes the difference between knowing and guessing.
Yes, yes. And when it comes to other people, you can't know. This is zero tolerance. You don't know.
Yeah,
Accept this, let this sit, you know, and let this be truth, because it is, and become curious and see the power of being curious, you know.
yeah,
Yeah. It feels very safe, it feels very peaceful, and it is very powerful in a relationship. It can transform, really, it can transform relationships if you do this.
yeah. I totally agree. Yeah.
Yes, and you know, mind reads happen. They're not a problem. They're ideas, they're options, they're possibilities. When you realize that that's what they are, you don't take them so seriously anymore. Usually, most of them, and I can talk about the ones that you do take more seriously and why you do. But so, I mean, the brain's job is to churn out thoughts. That's its, you know, that's its job, right? And they're not a problem. Thoughts are not a problem. We don't need to engage in battling with mind reads. Don't try and suppress them and say, oh, I shouldn't think that. Then you've taken that mind read seriously. The minute you say, I shouldn't think that, well, obviously you've taken it seriously. So the mind reads that become problematic are the ones that carry a very strong I in them that is defensive or offensive. Because you can have a mind read, she put that on the chair so that no one could sit there because it's broken, and I better not sit there. It's harmless. It might be limiting. Maybe the chair is not broken, but it's really fairly harmless until it's spoken to someone else who interprets it, with their own mind read that it's sarcasm, and now they respond with something, and then that gets interpreted as, see how mind read on mind read on mind read just goes boom. Okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah, the mind reads that get me in the most trouble are the mind reads where, like, I'm in a chat room or something, or like sharing on the microphone, and then somebody leaves the room. And the mind read that always comes up for me is, oh, they left because of you. You've done something wrong. You said something wrong. That's the ones that get me, because I can't ask them. They're left. They're gone.
They've left. They've gone. All the more reason to drop the mind read, to realize, you know what? I can't know. I don't know. Any manner of things could have happened why they left the room. They had to go to the bathroom, right? Their partner called them. Dinner is on.
Internet connection dropped.
Internet connection dropped. Doorbell rang after I got onto this call. Not too long after, my doorbell rang. I don't know if you could hear it or not.
I did. I was wondering what you were going to do.
Yeah. And it was ringing quite a lot. So when this call is over, I'm going to go and check with my neighbors. They're the most likeliest. I am expecting somebody, but not until 4 o'clock. So I let it be. If anybody needs to get a hold of me, they'll call me. It doesn't need to be addressed right now. So I don't mind read on it. I could mind reading. Oh my God, somebody could be dying. They need me. And you get out there and it's a salesperson.
Right. I was just thinking that. Probably somebody selling magazines.
Yeah, exactly. So. And I've seen it happen both ways, So this is kind of fun to do if you have more than one person. You can ask them to check your mind read. So if, say, there's a third person involved, right? And I used to do this with a close friend of mine. I say, he said this, nah. And I said, well, I think it's this. And she'd go, well, what could be that? And, well, yeah, what else could it be? Well, it could be this, And we would go through all these possible scenarios on the phone, and it was really time-consuming. And then we'd go in the end, you know what? We can't possibly know. So what is the point of all this?
Yeah.
And it's like, so what am I going to do? Do I really care? Do I have to know? Then I'll ask. If I don't, let it be. If something needs to come from them, it will come. If someone is angry with you, then eventually it might come up in another form. It might come up in a different question or something, or the state may drop, the anger may drop, and then it'll come out in some other expression, and then you will understand, what was going on for that person. You don't have to know unless they are going to come to make you know. Right?
I just think it's interesting how the mind it fills in all the blanks of the things that it doesn't really know. And it even fills in the blanks about the future, too, that it doesn't really know.
Yes. We mind read the future. We mind read the past. We mind read the past into the future.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
This is insanity. This is not a good use of your now,
Yeah.
So getting to, some mind reads are harmless and some carry more. What is the difference is there's a sense of I in there, me. You'll hear it as you, or I or me or whatever. However you hear it, there's a sense of me. And it may not be literally spoken in the sentence, but it's there, it's implied, somebody did that. And we don't even complete the sentence, the sentence, completion would be, and they shouldn't have done it to me. Right? Yeah. So even though you may say, no, there's no I in there. They shouldn't have done it. Well, says who? There's an I saying this, right? There's an I with the problem.
Yeah.
So the problem is we truncate our sentences, and that gives people even less information, right? And which is actually good sometimes, because what will happen is you have so little information, like I did with the chair, that you can't possibly fill it in. It's like, where do you start? Oh my God, it could be this, could be this, could be this, could be this, could be this. And then you realize, I need more information here, right? So the ones that really are problematic carry the I in them. And anybody who's watching this who hasn't watched last week's broadcast, I'd highly suggest you watch Exposing the Ego. And this is where we get into that. You know, what's the difference between a benign, harmless mind read and one that is ugly? There's always a sense of I, and it's the I thought that is believed to be you and so important. And that's part of the reason why you will claim to know somebody's state, thought, or intention. It's your I that's feeling threatened, you know. So take care of this I. And then all other possibilities will show up, or even just the space for curiosity, you know, an open-hearted cracking open, right? And maybe next week I'll tell you who was at the door if I find out. There's a curiosity now, you know, but there's no fear, there's no, you know, it's just a curiosity. And that's what we need to cultivate, is this curiosity. It's a very safe place to be. You're not attacked before someone even attacks you. So it supposedly attacks you. You know, you don't attack yourself, which is where the attack always comes from anyway.
You know, that reminds me of a line in the Course, if I defend myself, I am attacked. And it sounds backwards, but, you know, I wonder, it's just amazing how many times a week that thought will come up in my mind. That reminder comes up in my mind.
Yes, yes. You can't be attacked unless you defend.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're talking about mental, emotional, of course, attack, you know, not physical attack. That goes along with the saying, the first act of war is defense, actually.
Right.
I don't know where that quote came from, but it sounds like ACIM. Yeah, if you don't go on the defense, if you go on the defensive, you're feeling attacked. So where's the feeling of attack exist? In you.
In my perception.
In you.
Yeah.
In your mind read. Yeah. You've mind read attack, and with that you are attacking. You are saying, I know that person is doing this to bug me or hurt me or whatever. You're attacking. You look like you're defending, but you're attacking.
Right, right. Well, you know, for me, that's where it really helps to understand the ego and the way the ego thinks, and to understand that the ego is just a misperception. It's just so when I'm feeling attacked by somebody else, I'm realizing that only the ego attacks. And then I look at, well, why is this person attacking? It's got to be because they have some sort of root fear. And so I realize, like, in that way, I can see the innocence in that person, that it's just the root is fear.
But if you don't perceive attack, you don't even need to go there. It all sounds very much like a Band-Aid, you know, effect on there. What concerns me most, actually, is the first thing you said about the ego doing something. Did you say?
Only the ego tries to attack.
The ego tries to attack. So when you speak this way, you speak about the ego as if it's maybe some kind of entity that is doing something. I
think of the ego more of just a thought process, a perception of being separate from all that is.
Were you on the call last week?
No.
Okay. Did you watch it yet? No?
I haven't, no.
Okay. Highly suggest you watch this one.
Okay.
Yeah. Because we won't go into that right now. But, yeah, when you actually realize what the ego is, you won't need to go to the effort that you were describing a minute ago, which it doesn't feel complete anyway, because there's still the sense and the interpretation, I'm being attacked, and this is where you want to eliminate it.
I understand that. Yes. You know, I'm still working through this. You know, we all still have our moments where I don't know, maybe you don't. And you know, that might be a good question. Do you have moments where somebody says something to you and you feel like they're attacking you? I'm guessing from what you're saying you don't.
Yeah. No. No. Okay. The mind read may come up, like the thought may appear. It is in no way believed you know, and it may just flip and be gone again, just because it's there as a possibility, and there's an old, I call it old mind, you know, habitual thinking, but I'm not that. I'm not that habitual thinking. And it happens less and less and less and less and less and less and less now. And if it does happen, it's very, very short-lived, and it's not taken seriously. And curiosity steps in instead, to check in with that person. You know, I remember years ago with someone who every time they called, they yelled and screamed at me, and I didn't want to call them anymore. You know, but there was this sort of implication I felt I had to. This was a long time ago, before all this. And one day, you know, they came on the phone just, and it was so off the wall that I just thought, wow, are you okay? You know? And they said, no, actually I'm not. And then all the stuff came out of what's going on. And then oh my God, this had nothing to do with me. None of it. I was in their presence and they're yelling at me, apparently. But they weren't. It had nothing to do with me.
Right.
You know?
They had their own pain.
Oh, they were in pain. They were in pain. And whether they're in pain or they're frustrated or whatever it is, yeah, there's usually some pain. So I agree with you, you know, that there is always, every attack is a cry for help. There is pain going on. But to just sort of try and bypass everything and say, well, they're hurting, while you still feel like you've been attacked, you haven't gotten to the root of the problem. So you really want to look at it at the point of your perception of being attacked. Okay, there's a mind read there, there's a thought there, and there's an I thought in there, and that's where the trouble is. And if you eliminate this, then everything else falls away.
Well, that's pretty much where I start with when I do feel that sense of being attacked, that's when the thought comes into my mind, if I defend myself, I'm attacked.
And so what happens in that moment?
That's when I realize that it's usually not about me, it's about a pain that they're experiencing. And
so
I
do you completely drop the thought?
Yeah. When I go through that process, that's how I'm able to let go of that feeling of feeling attacked.
Okay. The only thing is that it will continue to happen because there's still the belief, the root belief that I'm being attacked. You deal with it after the belief arises, but there's still this sense of I can be attacked, and that can be taken care of even deeper so that it stops arising so much.
So I think I see where you're getting at. In other words, when I realize there is no self that can be attacked.
And that's what the previous broadcast is all about.
Right.
So yeah, there's that. That will eliminate it. That will end it. Yeah. So do you completely drop the thought?
Hey, Larry, you got an echo back going on?
Yeah.
Just letting you know.
Welcome, Larry.
Yeah. When I go through that process, that's how I'm able to let go of that feeling. That's funny.
What are you laughing at?
Oh, I'm just hearing my own voice talk back at me. It just, I don't know why, but I find the sound of my own voice funny.
I think we have that echo under control now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if everybody got the times off this time, because we have some people arriving later. That's just how it unfolded for them. It could be too, because we are about 2 minutes away to wrapping up. And but I do welcome you. Thanks for joining, Larry. So yeah, did we cover that well enough? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only, the ultimate final cure for mind reads is going right to the I. Who is this I? And yeah, what's that story about? And sorting that out. And then you don't even have to worry about mind reads. But I'm presenting them because it's useful in relationships with other people. If you mind read that somebody may have mind read you, now you know what you can do to help them really know what the truth is, because you can't make somebody know or believe you, but there are some things you can kind of help to to mitigate the damage. But as for yourself, the ultimate is just to cut right to, who's this I who thinks it's got a problem, and sort that one out.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else? Because I'm going to wrap it up for the week, I think. All right. Well, thank you all for joining, and we will look on Dear Self Facebook group to come up with a topic for next week. Get something really good, and we'll address that. Don't know what that will be yet. We'll see how that unfolds. And if anybody wants to work with me one-on-one to expose the ego, you can now go to exposetheego.com. exposetheego.com. Have a wonderful week. I suggest you play with mind reads. Get your own self-education on the subject in real time. There's nothing better.
Thanks, Cindy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Thank you, Cindy.
Bye, everyone. See ya.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bye.